evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. My name is Kristie Powe, and I'm a board member for Frankfort, which is focused on race relations. The purpose of our organization is to encourage open and honest conversations about race and race-related issues in Frankfort and Franklin County. So we really appreciate your participation in this forum, which will focus on some of those issues from the group and from the community at large. I'd like to give each of you a minute to introduce yourselves. So we'll start with Eric.
Yeah, thanks, Kristie. I'm Eric Whisman. It's I've been my honor to serve the community over the last 17 months as city commissioner, and we're experiencing a lot of challenges and really an unknown future for many of us. And I've been proud to be a representative for our community and going through this really terrible time. It's meant an interesting period for the election, and thank you all and everyone who's tried to help get out to the field of commission candidates and all the candidates. We've got some great people running this time, and I'm really excited to hopefully get to work with everyone. But at this time, as always, probably more important than ever that I ask everyone that we've got to work together, and we've got to find some future solutions, and what a better time to do so and question the past than right now. So just ask everyone to please get out and vote, and thanks for again for putting this together, and everyone that will be viewing these videos.
Thank you so much. Brent, you're next.
All right. Well, thank you, Kristie, and everyone at for putting on this event. I'm really looking forward tonight to talking about the race-related issues that you're going to bring up. Certainly, these are not always the easiest things to talk about, but I think it's healthy that we try to, and we do so we can improve our conditions. Let me just start by saying a few things about myself. I'm a father of two boys. I'm a state employee with the Transportation Cabinet, and I'm also a community volunteer. Through work, I'm a civil engineer designing transportation projects across Kentucky. And I've learned that it's important that when we're making decisions, that we know our facts, but we also listen to people as you make these decisions that are best for community. And I think it's important that our commission and our city find ways to be inclusive of all our citizens and to hear their needs and their aspirations. So I believe that my experience, my love for Frankfort qualifies me to be one of the next city commissioners. Thanks.
Thank you again. And Kelly?
Hey, everybody. Again, to echo my former other candidates here, we want to appreciate everything that we're doing right now, and for Ford for putting this discussion together. My name is Kelly May. I am born and raised here in Frankfort, Kentucky. I'm running for city commissioner. I'm excited for the opportunity. I think we all know that when we originally threw our name in the hat, the world was much a different place. The nation was in a different place, the Commonwealth, and then now right here in our community is a much different place. I'm excited to be a part of that conversation. I'm excited to sit back and listen and to learn and to open my heart and my ears to our community and those that are struggling right now. I want to do everything I possibly can to make sure that you feel like as we move forward that we're doing it in an inclusive way, and that you want to stay here, continue to start families here, start businesses here, retire here, and feel comfortable. So I'm just, again, excited like everybody is to have been invited in this conversation. And I hope today to learn a little bit and then learn how I can help move everybody forward, and specifically, those that are struggling most, which are the individuals in our Black community right now.
All right, thank you so much. We're going to get started with Eric with our first question. First question today, and then of course I'll alternate as I stated. How would you define systemic racism, and do you believe this is a problem in Frankfort and Franklin County?
The easy questions first, always. We all have, I was watching a video yesterday about our individual biases, and we've all been raised with certain discriminatory thoughts, whatever it may be. And in some parts of the country more than others, but we all have a problem whereby, for whatever purpose, whatever belief set or otherwise, that we have certain beliefs or certain predispositions, almost, if you will. Sometimes we don't even know we hold these things that can be defined as a systemic, racism problem, that we need to continually question. And of course, Frankfort has these problems. We can see every day over the last few weeks what's been going on at the Capitol and the debates, and these long-held beliefs by members of the community that perpetuate racism in a manner that is past, needs to be well past, but still seems to linger on with us. So of course, our town is no different than any other, that certain members of our community, and even as a whole, we have certain biases and certain predispositions or even intentional racism. It reared its head just last week in multiple ways with the Black Lives Matter march that I was proud to participate in, but it's here. And I do think our community, I've discussed this quite a lot this last few months. And
that was your time, just to let you know. You can't
Okay.
always hear that, but sorry. And
Thank
I don't mean to cut you guys off. I just want to keep it as fair as possible, okay?
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Brent, we're going to go to you with the same question. How would you define systemic racism? And do you believe this is a problem in Frankfort and Franklin County?
It is a very big question. And, I think systemic racism is something, obviously, that's been, it's just been ingrained in our culture and ingrained in our nation for so long. And it's something that, as a nation, we've been evolving and we've been improving on. But, all these events that are happening now is making it clear that things aren't good. They weren't good. My personal journey on understanding racism, I've really had an evolution over the years, starting from elementary school, and it continues for me to learn that my perspective on life is quite different than many other people's. So I've got to believe that systemic racism is here in Frankfort, but I need to learn more about how it affects people, individuals, and then, just different races in general. I need to hear from people from those experiences. One story that I've heard, and it was actually a little surprising, but as a white man, I don't necessarily have this experience, but a person that worked for the state, a Black man, was continually being pulled over by the police. And this is somebody that's a professional, and he was getting pulled over not late at night, but going to his job. And he wasn't speeding, he wasn't doing anything wrong. Why is that happening? Well, I mean, I don't know for certain, but it seems that some kind of profiling could have been going on. So
it's your time. So thank you so much. Thank you. I didn't want to stop you in the middle of your story. Kelly, we're going to go to you with the same question. How would you define systemic racism? And do you believe this is a problem in Frankfort and Franklin County?
So systemic racism, I'll answer the second part of that question first, which is, yeah, absolutely. I believe it is. Anybody in the United States of America, our foundation was set up and built to disenfranchise and pull away the opportunity for those in the African American Black community to succeed like their white counterpart. I believe in modern slavery. I think it exists in our incarceration rates and our incarceration statistics. I don't think it's fair. I believe that the most important thing we can do is identify it, like we're doing today, is continue to talk about it. But yeah, systemic racism absolutely exists. You don't have the same opportunities in the education system based on the color of your skin. We see it time and time again. There have been politicians that make comments, things When Joe Biden was running for president, and this is an endorsement against or for a certain presidential candidate, but I remember when he made a comment about Barack Obama that he was a very articulate individual, and I'm not quite sure why that was necessary to identify. When former Governor Bevin, toured schools in Louisville, he talked about how he was surprised and, excited that they had a chess team. Why would they not have a chess team? Of course they would. We have to identify that we are raised that way. And sometimes we don't see those things. I think the recent events have allowed myself, I'm 34 years old. I didn't realize, and I have to admit that it was as bad as it is. It's still there. It's going to be a problem. I think our community is set up. We have more of a unity focused, thank goodness, core of individuals here. And the recent events at the Capitol show that our leadership is willing to address it, identify it, and hopefully try to move forward in the right direction.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Okay, next question, and we will start with Brent this time. How do you plan to improve the relationship between Frankfort and Kentucky State University?
That's been a challenge, obviously, over the years. I've heard this for the whole time I've lived in Frankfort, which is over 25 years. People talk about the need for a town-gown relationship, and not until recently have I seen positive movement. Certainly, having conversations with the leadership there and trying to find ways to get the student population, the faculty, and the other employees involved in civic life is important. One of the things, the projects that I've worked on that I'm hoping is going to come to fruition anytime now is, although it may seem symbolic, it's an important connection, and that's the thoroughbred trail that will be built from downtown to the university and connect the two. And maybe not just symbolic, but it's also maybe a way for people that live on campus to make it to town, as well as people that live in town to come to the university. I think finding more events and getting events that happen on campus in the spotlight of people. There's so many good musical cultural events that happen at the university that people don't know about. And I've been to many of those, and the auditoriums are nearly empty. It's unfortunate, but there's a lot of good things that could happen, or a lot of things that are here for the people of Frankfort, and they just don't know about it. So
thank you so much. All right, and I think now it's Eric, correct?
yeah.
How do you plan to improve the relationship between no, wait a minute, I'm sorry. See, you all have to keep me going. It would be Kelly, you're next to answer this one. Right, okay. How do you plan to improve the relationship between Frankfort and Kentucky State University?
Well, I'm really, really, proud of all the things that our university has done. I think we need to continue to focus on so much, the national accreditation that they get, from the aquaculture program and everything like that. But most importantly, we need to continue to bridge the gap. And I think we do that literally and figuratively. To piggyback on Brent's comment, I think it's a great idea to involve the university students into our downtown economy. We want to talk about, increasing the economic impact that we have to our city downtown, because that's the heart of our community. And we can do that by bringing our students down there. As a small business owner, we try to make a point to really reach out when we need help. We reach out to the university and look for the individuals and the students that are working in programs that co-align, kind of with what we're doing in hospitality down there. I'm really proud to say that we, as business owners, have employed current students and former students and graduates. And I think, again, just really making a point to say whenever we have community events, there's no reason why we shouldn't be reaching out to the university and inviting them downtown to participate, whether it's, with the marching band, the athletic programs, and then reaching out and just simply asking, hey, what do we need to do to make the community at a university feel more comfortable here, and identifying and addressing those issues. The talent there is amazing. And, it's just a great resource that our community has when we really need to do better.
Thank you so much. And Eric, how do you plan to improve the relationship between Frankfort and Kentucky State University?
No, I started last campaign by very first thing. I actually physically sent a letter for my campaign to every student at Kentucky State last term, inviting them to participate in our local election process, because they were residents at the time of our community and they needed to have a say in what was happening in this community. And, I went on a couple of months ago, before the shutdown, we had a really fantastic interconnection sort of dinner at Kentucky State University that many of the candidates were there. And I got to talk with students that had no idea, no familiarity with the town, that they felt isolated to the campus, and were asking me, where do I get barbecue and where do I get the most basic necessities of our town? And I think that's where we begin. We have to consciously reach out to every student body, every class, every year, to help them integrate into our community, just like any college town does. We need a continual dialogue between the students and the members of the community. And we can do that in a few ways, I think. I've been pushing for a new internship program at the city of Frankfort, so that those students that have interest in our broad array of fields at the city can gain some valuable experience, and we can have some greater interconnectivity to retain some of that student body here. And I'm right now exploring what I think would be a fantastic thing would be to partner our facilities and our programs more within the city. So we're having a park plan developing, where I expect that the Kentucky State's facilities and the city's facilities, we're going to look very much about how we can not integrate, but use those to better effectiveness between the community and the university. And I would love to really highlight the programs that we're so proud of that the university has, like the aquaculture program that's nationally renowned, and develop that better. I think a fantastic opportunity would be to build a restaurant incubator educational space in the downtown core, where
that was your time.
Together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, last question, guys. And Kelly, we're going to start with you this time. What specific steps will you take to ensure racial equality in Frankfort and Franklin County?
Well, if I'm fortunate enough to be elected to the Board of Commissioners, I really want to move forward with the idea that we form a committee that's headed with whoever serves at the top of that. Of course, needs to be a member of the Black community, because I think this conversation has to start at its heart, and it has to start with the heartbeat, and that is going to be how we move forward. A consistent group that meets and talks with our law enforcement agencies, so we can try to bridge that gap to get a better understanding of what it's like to be a Black individual in the community right now, and what that feels like, and then the conversation back and forth with the law enforcement agencies too. I believe strongly that any community, yes, all lives matter. However, until really and truly and systematically they do, we can't go forward with that notion. Right now, we need to be focusing on those that need the help the most, and those that are consistently, absolutely not getting the same opportunities that we do as privileged white individuals in our community. So a board that would consistently work with the Black and African American population in our community to talk and have conversations, continue doing what we're doing today, keep the conversation moving forward. And that needs to be a city board that is absolutely a consistent priority for us and at the forefront of the conversation.
Okay, thank you so much. Eric, you're next. What specific steps will you take to ensure racial equality in Frankfort and Franklin County?
I've been working toward a lot of things already as my term with the commission, and one that I'm really working toward right now in light of the protests and things that have been going on lately is just to independently interview people that may have been disenfranchised in some amount in our community, so that I am knowledgeable and continually try to be knowledgeable about what is happening in our town. We can't combat anything without fully understanding what's going on. And, you know, we speak a lot about just the African American community, but we have a very small Spanish community and some other nationalities that are almost wholly underrepresented in our community, even just to reflect in conversations. But you know, the thing that I think our community does well, better than a lot of others, and one that I'm proud of, is that we continue this conversation. And I think a lot of that's to do with you all and but generally our community seems to be willing to have the difficult conversations. And I think beyond anything else, bringing those discriminatory practices to light and having discussions about how we can combat those regularly, moving forward as a whole community representative of everyone instead of individual sects, and having those meaningful conversations really does more than anything any of us can do individually. But making sure that we have avenues to enforce those conversations, and we regularly review our stances and make sure that we continually question those demonstrated biases that we have personally are really the best steps I think we can take individually and as a community.
Thank you so much. And last person, last question. Brent, what specific steps will you take to ensure racial equality in Frankfort and Franklin County?
Let me hit on a couple things. One is, I mentioned the story before about what appeared to be profiling of a driver by the police. If this is true, if this is something that's happening, that this needs to stop, but it doesn't just stop by itself. So something similar to what Kelly mentioned is that I believe having some sort of a community advisory board to the police so that they get input, and there's the dialogue happens between people of the community and the police to identify needs, identify problems, and work towards solutions. That's going to be important. The second thing I think is that our staff and our boards and commissions that the city commission appoints needs to be reflective of our community as a whole. So they need to reflect racially, they need to reflect gender and age and economics. So we need to make sure the people that we're hiring for the city staff and the people that are appointed to these boards and commissions really truly reflect our community.
Thank you so much. All right, guys. Well, that's all. I want to give you guys a little bit to close. We started, I believe, with Eric. I'm going to start with the last person this time, which was Kelly. We'll let you start with the close, and then we'll go to Brent and Eric. Go ahead.
Well, thank you so much again. We appreciate you hosting this forum and dealing with what is obviously a very topical conversation. It's something that has been here since the very foundation of our country. Most importantly, I want the voters to know this. I don't have all the answers. Of course I don't. I acknowledge that I speak from a point of privilege. I am trying to do better to understand that. And I'm trying to keep, like I said, my heart and my ears open. I was raised in a family where these, topics were discussed. I was raised in a family of inclusion. Anything less than was not accepted. That being said, the recent events have broken my heart, have made me fearful for my friends and for my family members who don't look like I do, and I want to do everything I possibly can to help. And I believe we help by, again, acknowledging what has existed, acknowledging the foundation of our country. We started with systemic racism as a topic of conversation. I believe in it. I'm trying to understand it better. My whole point is to find a way in which we can move forward as an inclusive community and one that everybody feels comfortable in being at. We have a lot of work to do, but I do believe that our community is amazing. We have seen that time and time again. Participating, for me, in the most recent march of somebody that I've been so proud to know. I've met her as an applicant, Katima McMillan, who I'm proud to say works with us at Bourbon on Main, who helped organize and create that event. Really helped me realize, again, where I stood in the sense of, wow, this isn't over. In high school, I remember thinking, what would I do if I was in the era of the civil rights movement, Martin Luther King? Would I stand silent? Would I stand with? And then I realized that I should have been standing with the entire time. The fight's still happening. It never went away. We passed the laws and legislation, but that doesn't mean that the actions went away. So I believe a community where we continue the conversations with boards, open, honest discussions. I humbly ask for your vote. Know that I'll do everything I can to move this forward. I'm ready to listen, period.
Thank you so much. All right, Brent.
Thanks again for having us tonight. You may have seen my signs around town and my slogan that I have on there. The slogan is building a better Frankfort. And as a civil engineer, I tend to focus on the built environment. The three main things that I wanted to focus in on was building our downtown core and strengthening that, improving our existing neighborhoods, and then working towards infilling where we have vacant shopping centers and those types of properties that can be redeveloped. But those are the three things that I tend to focus in naturally. But in terms of building a better Frankfort, it's not just about building physical things. It's building a community of people. And I think we've talked about this tonight, is that we need to work towards becoming more inclusive. We need to find ways to better listen to people and then find ways to make the opportunities for people to participate in our governmental process and decision making. So I respectfully request or ask for your vote. I'm Brent Sweger. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And Eric, we'll close with you. You're muted, Eric, by the way. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I just wanted to thank you for putting this together again and giving us a platform to continue these important conversations. You know, our nation is going through something right now that is, I hate saying uncharted waters always, but it's true. And if ever there was a time to institute meaningful change, I think it's now. It is upon us to make the future that we want. And you know, there's a lot of unknown in the future, but I think one thing we can count on is as a constant is our fellow citizens in our community, and knowing that together we can get through all of this, and that if we just respect each other and have compassion for one another, we can make our communities become the places that we know that they can be and that we want them to be. And there are always going to be challenges and people that combat forward movement, but I know we can persevere. So, you know, I'm running for re-election because I've enjoyed greatly, even though it's been a struggle and frustrating the last 17 months. But I'm just getting started with a lot of projects, and it takes a great deal of time to make that change. And I'm more excited, quite honestly, about the field of candidates, including 2 here tonight that are running, that we may be able to finally move this community forward in a way that we've not seen in a very long time. So, you know, I'm here invested in our community, and I know that together we can accomplish anything, but we have to work together. That's plain and simple. We can't have factions and negativity that gets in the way. I am proud to always be here to listen and to be sensitive to everyone's needs and to understand or try to understand how the discrimination can impact the members of our community. You know, I want to represent everyone as much as possible, and this is not to be a position where I just lead forward my own ideas and initiatives. I want to bring forward those of the entire community, and I've been working really diligently to make sure that our commission and our staff bring more people into the conversations. I believe by having a more inclusive environment, we get a much better result, and we get something that represents a broader spectrum of
And that was your
needs.
2 minutes.
So
So
I just ask for your reelection. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Thank you all so much. On behalf of FOR, we understand how difficult it is to have these conversations, which is why we formed our organization, and the courage that it took for you all to agree to participate in this open and honest dialogue is greatly appreciated by us. So I just want to say thank you guys so much and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kristie.
Good night.
Thank you.